It's tier list time again. This time looking into the Order Tomes. We've done the Nature Tomes and the Materium Tomes previously. Make sure you check that out. And always some disclaimers that I need to answer before going into the actual tomes. All my tier lists are related to each other. So for example, when you saw my previous tier list videos, you saw that I placed some of the Materium Tomes higher up in general compared to the Nature Tomes in general. There are of course a few really strong ones in the Nature Tome department and so on. And the same thing goes for this tier list. You will see that the Order Tomes I like a lot. You'll see several of them being in the S tier. And I think the definition of a bad tier list is a tier list where everything is in the S tier. That's not, strong, weak, tall, short, everything is in relation to something else. So yes, if you just look at this video, you might say, oh, this guy is placing a lot of tomes up in the S or the A department, but it is compared to other tomes as well. So yes, the Order Tomes are strong in general. You'll see that in this video, and I'll try to explain why I think it's reasonable to place this many tomes this high up. So let's go over them one by one. Let's talk about the Tome of Zeal. This is recognized as a strong tome. It's a strong tier 1 tome. I agree. I think if you look at the Legion of Zeal here, it's just very useful in many builds. It doesn't just apply to many different units, but it applies to all their attacks, whether it's base ranged or just ranged, whether it's melee or whatever. So very, very good unit enchantment. And you have also seen during the latest, with every new patch and every new expansion, we've gotten some new units, and nowadays there are several units that inflict this condemned status just without even checking the enemy status resistance. It just inflicts the condemned status, which means that this more or less reads as 2 damage and 10% extra damage. So this unit enchantment is one of the better ones, if not the best ones in the tier 1, of all the tier 1 enchantments. And the spell, Fanatical Workforce, I also think is the best spell for a tier 1 spell. I have so much use of this. It really gets your production going early on, because early on 60, because it's a flat amount of production. You're not only usually doubling your production when you're throwing down the spell, you're like tripling it. So very, very good spell, very, very good unit enchantment. I will also mention, once again, I will refer you to one of my other videos. If you look at the tier list of the Materium Tomes, I place a few of them quite up there as well. And you also see that a lot of the good tomes in this game in general has a quarry SPI, usually interacting with other quarries. So the fact that this Tome of Zeal has a quarry is quite good in the early game, considering it will synergize quite a lot with other SPIs. So those 3 things I really like about this tome. Could be useful to have a spell to buff your morale in case you're up against morale debuffing enemies. Why not have this researched? You might not use it, but yeah, if you're meeting those kind of enemies, it doesn't hurt to have this in your available spells. Single target condemned, yeah, sure. Will maybe be useful for a bit, but not in the mid to late game. But already, because it's 3 things we really find useful, this unit is also just quite good. You can just summon him out anywhere on the map with some magic cost. And yeah, all in all, I think this tome just has a lot that is always useful. So for that reason, it is an S tier. I agree with the common census or what to say, with the community on this one. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Tome of Faith. what do we get here? We get a really good SPI, an abbey with more knowledge per adjacent farm. Usually you are interested in getting your cities to 10 pop quite soon, because then it's cheaper to get them to produce the building allowing you to build tier 3 units. So usually you want to build at least like 2 or 3 farms anyway in the beginning of the game. So this could, in other words, read as 19 knowledge, 3 plus 9. And it's quite low amount of production needed for you to create this as well. So really good SPI, really good city stability building, in my opinion. If you do a little bit of planning, you will make sure to, if you pick up this tome, it might be good to pick up some other tomes increasing the city stability, and that way this building for a very low production cost can provide you with quite a lot of knowledge and mana in each of your cities. So with a little bit of planning, this is really useful. I've made a build guide just recently with the Lesser Light Spirit. It is a good unit in general. It evolves into an even better Light Spirit unit. We can check that really here. It evolves into this guy eventually, doing 80 heal. He does inflict, you see there, condemn just automatically. So he's really good in combination with builds that like the Legion of Zeal, so that you do that 10% extra damage we just talked about. He's a good frontline support unit in that he's able to blind everybody close to him and then teleport away. So that's a unique thing. Not many support units are good in melee. So for that reason, I really like this. I really like the building. I really like the SPI. If you're running a few support units, why not the Staffs of Mending? It's a free ability giving you some healing and a free heal action and the Faithful. So yeah, also faster allies, 30%. That could be very useful in that sometimes you're competing, you know, someone else has been placing their Whispering Stone at this location as well. So this tome has like 5 things I like, and that's extra important in the early tomes, that there are a lot of things that you like with the tome. If it's just 1 or 2 really strong things, that's not great, because in the early tomes you have to research 4 things in order to even get the next tome, and then when you do get the next tome, your stuff from this tome will still be available to choose from. When you unlock the new tome, you don't just get the options to research things from that tome, 3 options from that tome. You get options from the past tomes as well. So picking a tome that have useful stuff, a lot of useful stuff early is very good. So I'm sorry, but this is gonna be a boring tier list, but to me this is another S tier. I think it's just so many things that are useful so many times in so many builds. Yeah, I place it in the S tier. Let's proceed with the last of the tier 1 order tomes, the Tome of Discipline. I have been mentioning this before in my Materium tier list, considering it's a Materium tome. What does this have? And then I did place it in the A tier, and I will do the same now, of course, considering it's the same tome. And the reason why I placed it in the A tier is yeah, well, let's go over the things it does. So there are many tomes that are reducing status resistance. So if you build around that and try to reduce the enemy status resistance by like 5 or 6 or something like that, you're getting this stunned ability when you punch 3 times, and that is very useful, especially in the early game. I mean, this is a tier 1 tome, so first and foremost, when you start the game, people don't have that much status resistance, so this is usually a good choice for your tier 1 tome. Not only that, if you plan around it, it's just very valuable for you be useful in the late game with the stun as well. Typically you have like a front line, and their main purpose is not maybe to do damage. They're just there to soak up damage and allow for your Shrine of Smiting or something in the background to really dish out the big numbers. But by giving the front line another purpose here, now they're not just punching bags anymore. Now they are really scary. You can't just ignore them, because then they stun people. So I think the Empowered Strikes is very good. Also, I can mention real quick, we've seen some changes to some tomes. Maybe you have seen that the Sundering Blades here from the Tome of Enchantment just automatically inflicts under the defense, which is, as you see there, it's removing status resistance. So because of some changes the last year that have made it so that you can really reduce people's status resistance, strong effects like stun is very valuable. Also, we have a lot of healing. This tome providing you with 20% extra healing. Very nice. I just spoke well about the Light Spirit here, healing for 80. So having 20% extra healing received, very useful. And I even had use of this in one of my builds where I had I made a build with really maximizing the Shrine of Smiting, and for you to do that you need some support units. So 2 or even 3 things I really like in this tome, and the monastery is also good. Maybe you could argue for that it is a little bit better, because there's been a rework for the Dark Faction. And one of the subcultures of the Dark Faction really has a lot of strength. So they get a lot of gold and they have strong units and so on. But their downside, one of their biggest downside, is that they inflict quite a lot of negative stability, city stability. So then tomes that really help you out with city stability all of a sudden gets a little bit better, because they're now a really good choice for the Dark Faction to pick up. So quite a few things that I like here. When I compare it to these other tomes, I do think it's one step further down. I'm ranking this as an A tier. Let me know if I talk in too much detail, or if you want me to speed along, or if you'd like for me to to go through every single thing with every tome. Let's proceed. Let's talk about the Tome of Beacon. I was very close of adding this to one of my builds because of the chaplain unit and because of the blessed soul. Those 2 things are strong in this tome, but you see it's lacking an SPI. I'm not very intrigued with the spells. This summons a body that is able to block 1 tile and it's able to heal a bit. It gets outshined somewhat quickly, I think, by other spells. Or maybe if the Divine Beacon had a little bit more health. I think it gets outshined quite with just as soon as you get to tier 3 you will most likely not cast this spell anymore. And this Mighty Meek only applies to tier 1 and 2 units. But yeah, I mean, this is useful, I guess, mostly, maybe, in my opinion, the Reaver faction. They have that, we can check them out. They have this Mage Lock unit being very strong for a tier 2 unit. So maybe some units can focus on tier 2 units, and for that the Mighty Meek might be useful. But I was close to pick this tome up in one of my builds, but at the end I didn't even do that. So that gives you an indicator that I do find this tome to be quite weak. But as you see here, he has a free bless with very short cooldown on a he can do it from a ranged as well. He has quite a good healing here, healing for 50 and removing all negative statuses, and put the guy in the defense mode. There are several other cool stuff later on in later tomes that are really useful when you're putting a unit into defense mode. We can check that actually. For example, here, look at this. We will talk about this tome later, but here you get really strong effects when something is entering defense mode. So stuff like this makes it. This is making you immune to damage for one item. One piece of damage is ignored. So yeah, I really like this unit. He's also a form unit. But is he enough reason for you to spend one entire tome slot for? This doesn't have an SPI. This doesn't have a good unit enchantment that applies too much. This is quite restrictive. And the Blessed Soul, he's just he has better stats than other defenders, but then he isn't a form unit. So he if you're running a build that is mostly focusing on buffing up other units, the Blessed Soul is good because his base stats are quite decent. Usually defenders have like 12 or 13 damage. He has 14. He automatically inflicts Condemned. That's quite a strong status, remember, if we have the seal, that's extra valuable. He's one of the few defenders that has a ranged strike that has the ability to do quite a lot of damage there, 50 damage for a defender unit. So he is absolutely good. He's an ethereal, but yeah, I found mostly what's strong with this tome is just these two units. And there was a build where I felt like these two are great to add to my roster, but because it doesn't give you really anything boosting your economy, no SPI, no really good enchantments that I could take advantage of in the mid to late game, I felt like it contained a little bit too little, and I ended up picking another tome. And so I'm giving this a C tier, even in a build where this tome would fit really, really well, considering I really appreciated these two units. I still had to go with another choice. So that is my verdict, unfortunately, giving it quite a low tier. Let's talk about another tome. Let's talk about the Tome of Inquisition. This tome, I think the community tends to give like an A tier. I give it an S tier. And I will defend it. I know I'm stacking stuff here up in the S tier, but hear me out. Let's place it there straight away. Hear me out. We're getting a mine. A mine is just really useful. Usually you will have you have 1 or 2 points in the Materium affinity in your builds, which makes it so that quite soon you get this bonus in the Materium affinity tree where all your mines are providing you with 5 mana, which means this more or less reads as a 16 gold 5 mana. So that's just a very good building in my opinion. Not only that, it has been buffed a lot, this tome, and it was strong before, and then it received crazy buffs according to me. First of all, this unit enchantment used to do 30%, now it's 60-60. And these two statuses I really like, at least the Condemned. What else? Yes, the Inquisitor got some huge buffs as well. It got 2 more damage. So you see here, it's a tier 3 unit doing 18 damage without any unit enchantments. Usually tier 3 units do like 14 or maybe 16 damage, but not 18. So he's just very strong in his attacks. He is a ranged unit, but he has similar defensive stats as a frontline. Makes it so he's just a decent frontline as well, 93-3. he nowadays have a shoot crossbow without any cooldown, so he could really stick around in a distance, and he doesn't have to hurry up. He doesn't have to, before he had to throw out his stun, and then he was kind of stressed. In order for me to be useful the next turn, I have to run up on the enemy. But now you're in no hurry at all. You can just chill, shoot some shots from a distance, and when they come up to you, then you say, that's good. Then I have 3 actions to do 3 attacks on you, rather than spending your movement actions to move and so on. So a good unit was buffed a lot by getting this ability, by getting more damage, and by this enchantment that applies to him got better as well. So far, 3 things I really like with this tome. I really like the city structure as well. You remember we did say we value city stability a little bit more now, considering the Dark faction has been getting a rework that appreciates city stability a little bit more than usual. And we have a few other tomes in the Order tree allowing you to get even better bonuses if you're on high city stability. So this tribunal is very valuable in certain builds where you really want to get that city stability high. And then you also got this Lightbringer unit into this tome. It wasn't here before. It was in the Tome of what is it called? Beacon, Tome of the Beacon. It was in before, but now it has been moved here. It's just a good unit to play around with in the early to mid game. You can place it anywhere on the world map, it being from a magical origin. It can always keep up with your armies, being flying with 40 movement, so it will never slow you down. It fits in many army comps without slowing the army down. And of course you have this really strong ability where you're able to dominate people, making them change sides. So if you're running a build where you're reducing the enemy status resistance quite a lot, why not summon 1 or 2 of these in your armies? Even though they are a tier 2 unit, I think they are good enough. 90% chance of causing dominated. If not, 15 damage is decent at least. It's not worthless. So even if you fail, you still do a little bit of damage. So yeah, I like a lot of things really I'm so excited I can't speak. I like this tome a lot. You see, we have also an AoE condemned spell here. That's quite valuable, especially if we're picking up, the Tome of Discipline here, where we really like to inflict stunned effect on them and so on. Having an AoE condemned spell, very useful. So you see here, I pretty much appreciate everything in this tome. And once again, it's extra valuable if you like many things in like a tier 1 or tier 2 tome. If we're talking about a tier 3 or tier 4 tome, it's okay that you mostly like 1 or 2 things, because you can then research those 2 things, and then you can research stuff from other tomes that you previously unlocked. But with the first couple of tomes, really valuable to like many different things. So yeah, for that reason it's an S tier. Sorry, I'm giving everything an S tier. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Tome of Virtue. It's a somewhat new tome here in the Archon patch. What does this do? It doesn't give you an SPI. It gives you a building that I don't like. Yes, in the early game you would rather have food and production than gold. It's really valuable for you to get your cities up to at least 10 pop quickly. And it's nice to have production, allowing you to snowball, creating more structures that gives you more resources, and then you snowball. So that is good. But in the late game you would much rather have gold than you would have food and production. So what can you do? I guess you can demolish this building toward the late game. That's an option. But for one thing, it's kind of sad. Spend production on something, 100 production, 60 gold, on something that you will demolish towards the mid to late game. Not only that, it actually takes a turn to demolish a building. So it's not just a free, you can demolish it straight away. I don't like that strategy of building this and then demolishing it. Also, in the early game, you don't have that much gold income in your city. So yeah, you're losing 10%, but you don't have a lot in the early game. So I don't like the city structure, but I really like some of the other things in here. For one thing, this minor transformation, I think, is one of the better ones. Absolutely. Because we see that stuff from the Legion of Zeal and so on is a strong unit enchantment, we will see a lot of bit of spirit damage, so having spirit resistance then gets extra valuable. Also, having us get this really great bonus when below 60% of your health is really nice. 1-1 defense resistance, that's huge. There are other things in, let us actually compare, keep this in mind now. 1-1 we get, and then if you watch my Nature Tome Nature Tomes tier list, you will hear me talking about Leaf Skin and how I really appreciate this because of the 1 resistance being strong due to how stacking resistances work. So I did say that this minor race transformation I do value. I think this is really good, and that's 1 resistance, and this virtue gives us 1-1 with the prerequisite we have to be below 60. But I would say this minor range transformation is better than Leaf Skinned even without this one, and this is huge. Ignoring 50% of your casualties, typically you're receiving quite a lot of punishment when your unit loses health. You all of a sudden do quite a lot less damage, but not with this one. So great unit race transformation, I think. And I really like this defender unit. Some people are saying, yeah, it's a really good defender unit, but defender units aren't that good in general. As you see here, this is what you get when you have a defender unit. You get shield defense, giving you 3 more defense, and you get a better defense mode. We can check that there, giving close by buddies some stats as well. Whereas other melee units, the polearm units for example, their bonus is that they get the first strike retaliation. They get to retaliate before you even attack. They get 40% more damage to large targets. And what else do they get? They get 1 more defense, and yeah, a few things. So yes, you could argue polearm units get better bonuses in general, but keep in mind, let's take a look at a few tomes here. Let's take a look at the Tome of Enchantment. Some tomes only apply to shield units. You see here we get the really good spell tempered shields only applying to your shield units, and we could take a look at maybe this one as well. Tome of Severing only applies to shield units. So in this game I would argue that towards the late game I would argue that defender units scale better than polearm units. You're able to buff these guys up more. And once again, what is the purpose of this guy? This guy is there to soak damage. He does do that better than a polearm unit. Usually these just have more defensive stats. The likelihood of the enemy one-shotting this guy in 1 turn is less than if I had a good tier 3 polearm unit. So I do find some builds would prefer defender units than polearm units, and this one is one of the better ones, definitely. We have a really good first turn here where we run up. We're able to be on a mount, so we can place a good cavalry. Maybe we could be on a griffin or something. So we fly up to them. We smite them. 30 damage is not nothing for a defensive unit. And then we place ourselves into defense mode there. That's great. And when we wake up the next turn, we can punch them 3 times with maybe the ability to stun them there with the Tome of Discipline. And then if they really get us low, I mean, in the very same tome here we have the ability to be strong even though we're low, and then we can just heal ourselves up for quite a bit. So I really like this unit. I think it's maybe the best defender tier 3 unit in the game. And I do like defenders. I will not agree with people in the community saying there's never a reason for you to pick up defender units when there are polearm units lying around. Polearm units are strong, but I will stick my ground here and say defender units have their place in this game. There are, in some builds you prefer them. You just want a sticky front line that the enemy can't kill. If you're doing, for example, a morale debuffing build, you don't care that much about damage. You just want to stay alive and then rout the enemy instead of the field. So for those kind of builds, a defender unit beats a polearm unit in my opinion. So what do we think about this one? I think it's strong. Once again, everything is relative to something else. It's a tier 2 tome, and if we, for example, take a look at what the Inquisition gave us, it just gave us way more. In the Inquisition we got a really good SPI, we got a really good building helping us out. I don't like this building that much, but the spell here is very good, and we get a really good race transformation, really good unit there. I should mention this unit as well. You could say, this feels a little bit off. Why do we have a battle mage in this tome? I do think it fits in this tome though. This battle mage is not good. It's not good to have like 3 or 4 of these in your army, but 1 is quite nice, I think. Just to keep 1 in your army. Once again, it's a 40 movement flying creature, so it won't slow your armies down. That's quite valuable. Maybe you're doing like an all cavalry build, really especially considering your paladin was able to be on a mount, you know. You're doing an all cavalry build, then the fact that this can keep up is great. Also, you see here, this is the main reason why you would pick this unit in my opinion. It has the ability to, especially after champion there, if you read the yellow text, all adjacent enemies have their positive status effects removed. So this just does quite a bit of damage and then removes every bonus they have. So if they're strengthened or whatever, you say nope, not anymore, you're not. So I would consider creating 1 of these for your armies, even though you're not really aiming to buff battle mages at all. Just keeping 1 just for that strong effect, I think it's viable. So 8 tier, I think it's fine here. We're thinking a few things are quite valuable. Let's move on to the last, I think, of the tier 2 tomes. I have been mentioning this before when I did my Materium Tome tier list, and I did give it an S tier, and I will do it again. Don't tempt me. I think this is a clear S tier tome. What do we get? We get, I think it's the best SPI for a tier tome, for a tier 2 tome. I think this is the best SPI. Look at what we get. It's a quarry interacting with a lot of other good quarries. Remember, we see that a lot of strong tomes in the early game have good quarries. This interacts with them, and others are interacting with this quarry. And it's just so easy to place this. We have to be very thoughtful about placement of other SPIs, but so it's really nice that this is just a joker that we can place wherever and it gets a lot of good bonuses. So love this. I think this is the best one out of all tier 2 tomes. And then we're getting also here, you remember I said I really appreciate another improvement getting us 1 resistance. This one gives us +1 and +1, with the caveat we need to be adjacent to them, but quite often you find yourself being adjacent to your colleagues anyway in this game. So if you're running an army with a few of these 3 units, shield unit, fighter unit, polearm unit, I really think this is an auto-include. You need to include the Tome of the Construct into your builds. So really good unit enchantment, really good spells. Take a look at what these dudes, they enter you into defense mode. Once again, we have a lot of things interacting with defense mode. And the shield units defense mode is extra strong, so if you have a few shield units, this spell is extra good for you. We remove some negative status effects, also very valuable if the enemy are sneaky and try to stun you and so on. And Hastened is just very good for a frontline spammy build where you get one more retaliation attack. That's huge, and your very fast movement allows you to not only move faster, but maybe without the very fast movement, maybe you needed to spend 2 actions and then you just got to punch once, but maybe this now will make it so you only have to spend 1 movement to reach your enemy, and then you can punch him twice. So yeah, strengthened as well. Really good spells for a tier 2 tome especially. I would just by looking at these, especially according to the cost, look, the cost is more or less nothing. 30 mana, 25 combat points. I would think these were good in a tier 3 tome. That's how good I think these are. Did I place it already? Yes, so S tier for me, absolutely. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Tome of Sanctuary, the first of our tier 3 tomes. I went over the Light Spirit, how much I appreciated this guy. The Sanctuary I also really like, 15 mana. You don't have to be smart. I also like that. Once again, you have to be smart with a few of your other SPI, where you need to place them carefully to really maximize their bonuses. So it's really valuable that 1 or 2 of your SPIs you don't have to be smart about. You can place them in the areas where it doesn't make sense to place anything really. So really like this one. Really like the Light Spirit. I think he's very interesting. He's quite unique in his being quite of a frontline unit despite being a support unit. And then of course the Keeper's Mark. Faithful, always useful, but this is really crazy strong. They can't burst you down in 1 turn. You will always be put into this steadfast mode. That's huge. That's huge. And the Tome of Sanctuary is extremely valuable when we look at the new Dark faction here. You see he has this aura allowing him to heal for quite a lot as long as there are people around him. So the enemy can get you down to 1 HP. You have your steadfast ability there keeping you alive, and then the next turn you heal up again automatically. Yeah, very valuable. Let's go back to the where was I? I was looking at the Tome of Sanctuary. So steadfast, very valuable and extremely valuable in some builds. Also you see some extra status resistance, and spirit resistance is also something I really appreciate. You'll see quite a bit of spirit damage, so spirit resistance is nice. Also this has quite a lot of tools to defend your own areas with the consecrated domain and the healing spires. So all in all, I almost like everything in this tome, and some of the things such as the Keeper's Mark is just game changing. For that reason I need to place this in an S tier. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Tome of Subjugation. No SPI, 1 good building that have a caveat that you need to conquer a race and not convert it in order for you to be able to build this. Spell not the best in my opinion, considering we're in a tier 3 tome. We have a lot of other good spells in the other tier 3 tomes, so I rate this quite low. I rate this siege project is quite low as well, considering what other options there are out there. The Tyrant Knight is decent. He got a little bit of a buff in that he's now able to oppress people instead of just punching them. He has this other option, really reducing morale. But 25 morale, maybe I think I'd like to see like 40 there or something. If I spend my whole turn doing this, only for 25 morale, and this is on a very damage oriented unit. Maybe if this ability was on a very defensive unit that doesn't do that much damage anyway, but now we're skipping out on attacking with a quite strong attack, which will inflict 10 morale as well, just to do 25 morale, and it costs a full action. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing here, but I rate this unit as a mediocre unit. I mean, it's a tier 4 unit. It's competing with a lot of other strong units. And this aura is good, causing 90% or 90% chance of inflicting -5 on everyone adjacent to you. And if this is present on all your units, which it might be, then that's a lot of morale debuffing. But you get this bonus anyway by choosing the Nightmare mount. So if you just choose the Nightmare mount, you don't have to pick this tome up at all. And you see, because it's quite bare, compare this to the Tome of Sanctuary. You got no SPI, not any good spells, not any good siege projects, one good building, one mediocre unit. And what you give up is a really good SPI, a really good unit, a really good enchantment. Yeah, it's just... even in a morale debuffing build, I wouldn't pick this. I would rather go for the Nightmare mount and try to make a build with that instead. So for that reason, unfortunately, I do rank this quite low. Where is it? Tome of Sanctuary, Tome of Subjugation. I rank it in the C tier. Let's move on. What other tier 3 tomes do we have? We have... oh yeah, we have this one. Tome of Prophecies. There you have the title as well. Mana and knowledge, always useful. Will you be doing that many conduits? Maybe not. I prefer to do if usually these locations you get to pick, you know, mana or a knowledge building. I usually try to prioritize the knowledge ones, so I might not have that many conduits in my kingdoms, but some kingdoms really do appreciate this if you're aiming to do a lot of magic origin units and so on. But all in all, to me, I don't value this quite as much, but it's still it's still a 15 plus 5 building, so without any adjacency bonuses, it's still decent. I'll give them that. 20 crit and faithful is very good. You could see 20% more crit chance as an increase of damage by 10%, although it's more valuable with 20% crit chance than 10% damage. Here's why. 100% crit chance means you will do 50% more damage. So you can really translate 20% crit chance to 10% more damage. However, there are some advantages of making a critical hit. You know, you inflict quite a lot of negative morale on the enemy that your critical hit, -5 to be more specific. So for that reason, this bonus I think is better than 10% damage, and 10% damage is useful, and you're also getting the faithful. So absolutely, this unit enchantment is great. This unit enchantment is crazy good. Precognition is very good, allowing you to skip out on being damaged for a bit. Really nice. You also do have a tier 4 support unit that you might be interested about. I don't love this guy compared to some other tier 4 units that are in the game. He does inflict marked, which is good if you're running the Reaver faction. They really appreciate the marked debuff. But he has this, true strike, and I feel like a lot of good units has an auto hit anyway. They don't need the extra likelihood to hit from range. So not a great fan of the striking portent. A healing portent, yes, this is a great ability. I'll give them that. 60 heal in an AoE, and they gain precognition. This is amazing. I can't debate against that. But once again, we're comparing with other tier 4 units, and if I compare to other tier 4 units, I don't place this toward the top. I don't. But great combat enchantment there, great unit enchantments, a lot of things is very, very good in this tome. Once again, we need to compare it with other tomes, and for that reason I do only give it an A tier. I know some other tier lists are placing this in the S tier due to this strong precognition debuff, but I feel like it's one step further down compared to other choices out there. Let's see. Oh yes, we have the Tome of the Cleansing Flame, and here we have one of those examples. Now we need to compare this to other tier 3 tomes. What do we get here? We get a decent building, although I might not build that many foresters in my kingdoms in general. But I mean, 15 gold, 5 draft is decent without any adjacency. But then also you're getting all your units are faithful. That's very valuable, giving them less upkeep and all this. And then you really get some defensive bonuses in this domain if you build one of these. So good defensive stat, good economy here with 15 gold, and less upkeep for all your units unless you get faithful from somewhere else. Then it's not as useful because they don't stack the faithful, you can only get it once. But you're picking this tome up for the Pyre Templar, let's be real. And here we said, I said there are some other strong tier 4 units, so I can't rank this unit that high, I said in the other tome. And here's why. Look at this guy. He does an AoE cleave, and he's a polar unit doing more damage to big targets. He's able to enter defense mode and then cause a bunch of havoc around him when he does so. He's just very strong unit. I think there was one guy in my comment saying, can you recommend me a good auto resolve build? And I just went, yeah, just create a bunch of Pyre Templars and you're good. That's how good this guy is. You can just spam him and don't think, and then you will do quite well. Once again, we have a really good spell, I think. 2 hex radius is a very large radius, and they automatically get condemned. They don't check for anything, they just get condemned. Very good if your units have Zeal, as we talked about, and you get strengthened and all this, and they create these cleansing flames under them. Very good spell, very good unit enchantments, causing burning, very good units, and all of this. So for that reason, once again, it's a very stacked tome. I need to give it another S tier. But remember, guys, this is in relation to some other schools of magic. So yes, the order tree is stacked. We have a lot of good tomes in the order tree. So compared to the Materium tomes, the nature tomes, you will find more order tomes being in the top tier. That's just how it is, according to me. Let's talk about our first tier 4 tome. We could talk about this Tome of the Archon, a new one in the Archon patch. We're getting a teleporter that allows us to create titans. They are quite good, although they're not form units, so there is that. We get an Holy Aura, 4 damage at the end of the turn. Not amazing at this point, but I mean, if we're really doing a defensive build that focuses on survivability, this could be useful, absolutely. 4 damage, and then you give your own units quite a bit of status resistance. And remember, if you have 2 friends close by with this, you get 4, so all of a sudden you're getting quite a lot of status resistance quickly. And the other things are a little bit like meh. I'd say the Astra here is not my favorite tier 5 unit. We can take a look at him real quick. Not that much damage for a tier 5 unit. It's 20 damage. Yes, inflicting burning. Actually, this is okay. This is okay. 21 damage. You're automatically inflicting burning, which can be quite useful to counter the gloom. And you have this led by Archon. Where is that? Archonic leadership, allowing your other units to do more damage when you have one of these in there. You have a free area of effect heal. It's definitely good. Sorry, it's decent. But I would prefer. We'll talk about that. The next tome we'll talk about is the Tome of Exaltation, and then we will mention the Shrine of Smiting. So we'll compare these two, and then you'll find that I prefer the other tier 5 unit. But all in all, some useful stuff. A teleporter, why not? City stability, why not? That can be absolutely valuable. You're getting Hola Aura, could be especially useful on defensive fronts and so on. But really what you're picking this for is the Pure Soul race transformation here, allowing you to remove one thing each turn. And not only that, you convert it if there's a positive counterpart. So if they've given you weakened, you all of a sudden are not weakened anymore, and then you're instead strengthened. And the way this works is if they had put down weakened 2 on you, you get strengthened 2. So if they have weakened 3, you get strengthened 3. So that's quite a big swap. So yes, this Pure Soul is very, very strong. I will give them that. But is it enough to... I mean, we're up in the tier 4 department. We need to be harsh here. We can't just give everybody a great grade. We have to compare it to some tier 4 alternatives out there. And I'll mention it more soon enough here, but I'm giving it a B tier. Maybe I'm a little bit too harsh. But I don't love the SPI. I don't love the unit enchantment. I don't love the unit, the tier 5 unit, and the race transformation is good. It is that. But having only one really good thing in a tier 4 tome, maybe I'm harsh. But let us take a look at this next tome. Maybe that will explain my thinking a little bit more for the Tome of the Archon. What do we get here? We get, according to me, a better SPI. Can only be built once, but it's great to get Imperium. Really, I really like that, and I like the building better as well. 30 mana, 30 stability is just always useful. You'll always plop this down in every city. Very nice. The major race transformation I also really like. Having inspired killer, control loss immunity could be useful, as well as faithful. Decreased unit in transformation makes it so that your damage isn't reduced as much as your units are losing health. So this is kind of a damage boost, you could say. But most of all, you're picking this up for the flying. The flying is amazing on the map. It's good in battles as well, especially if you're running ranged units, because that allows you to really be on your maximum range. So for example, we spoke about the Inquisitors before in the Tome of Inquisition. Maybe you can increase these people's range with the Tome of Winds and so on, so they can then stun people from range 5 automatically. Automatically hits and then 90% chance of stun. And if these guys are flying as well, they can really be on 5 tiles away, even though there might be a cliff there or whatever. They don't care. They just fly over the terrain in the battles. If they didn't have flying, maybe because how the map is laid out, maybe they would have needed to move, so they are now 2 or 3 tiles away from the enemy. Not great, because then you're losing that advantage of being at a ranged. So in some builds, this is the best transformation due to the flying being very, very valuable. But yes, so far we say it's a good SPI, good building, good race transformation, the best in some builds. Allowing people to get ranks is also really nice. Some units get really, really strong when they get that champion rank. we can take an example. But yeah, let's take, we talked about the light spirit before. You see there, if he's champion rank, the yellow text, he's all of a sudden dealing almost double the amount of healing, from 50 to 80. So getting people up to champion rank at least is very valuable. So for that reason I do value the Ascended Warriors spell. But now to this Shrine of Smiting. I did a build guide very recently. You can search my channel for Shrine of Smiting build. And I love this guy. Look at what this guy does. If you have two armies next to each other fighting a battle, and you have one Shrine of Smiting in each army, making sure the other 5 units are faithful, then this is, what does it say there? 2 plus 2 is 4, times 10 is 40. 17 plus 17 is 34, so 34 plus 40, that's 74. That's 74. And then it also ignores resistance, 50% of resistance. So this is doing a bunch of damage. And not only that, this guy is a construct. You see here? And because he's a construct, that means he interacts with stuff like the overcharge here from the Tome of the Dreadnought. So once again, I'll refer to my build guide. In my build guide, the Shrine of Smiting is dishing out more than 100 damage each turn. Crazy. So for that reason, as you see there, I really do value the Shrine of Smiting more than the Astra tier 5 unit. So all in all, you see, there's a lot of things I appreciate a lot in this tome. Is it as good as some other tier 4 tomes? Maybe not quite. So I actually put this in the A tier, not the S tier. And that makes more sense when I go over this next tier 4 tome, I think. Let's talk about the Tome of Prosperity. This I find to be an S tier tome. We have a great Shrine of Prosperity. This late in the game, we don't need food that much anymore. You know, at this point in the game, when you reach your tier 4 tomes, you've grown your cities quite large enough. So this converting your food into gold is amazing. So I really like this one. I really like the city structure here, Garden of Affluence, really giving you more mana and gold. That's really what we want in the late game, mana and gold. And then they have some great unit enchantments, not only giving resistances, but this grace, that every turn, if they don't already have it, they get grace, which is healing you for 10. And then they have this amazing spell as well, 2 hex radius, that's huge. 2 grace is amazing, that's 20 health, and then there's a 6 generation, but it's 2 of that, so, and then a bunch of resistances. So this can really make your front line stick around. Yeah, I just love everything with this. This dragon is also very good. At least to keep just 1 copy of could be valuable for the reason of, where is it? I forget. Yes, this one, a Reign of Prosperity. You see that it inflicts all friendly units. So in the late game, when you have like 3 stacks of armies moving together, maybe you should keep 1 dragon in those 3 to really buffing 15 units or 18 units is very nice. So for that reason, this is a tier S, tier 4 tome. I will say this Exaltation is 1 step further down compared to the Tome of Prosperity. Let's see, what have I not been talking about? We have, I missed out on a tier 4 tome. Where is it? Supremacy, right? Yes, here it is. Tome of Supremacy. What does this have? It does not have an SPI. It does not have a good spell. It has not. This spell is also lackluster compared to some other spells in the tier 4 department. We need to be harsh now, guys. We're in tier 4. Things can't just be decent anymore. They have to be great. but it does have a great unit enchantment if you're going for the magic units. Zeal in general is nice, but then extra 20 to everyone close by when you kill something. Wow, this is a staple unit enchantment if you're running a battle mage build, I think. But it's so unfortunate that most of the other tome, in my opinion, is weak. Yeah, this will add up. Let's say you have like 5 or 6 or 7 cities. Wow, this is starting to really make a dent. So I will say the unit enchantment is really great. This city structure is very good, and this exemplar has been receiving buffs if you haven't played this game for quite a bit. So this guy, I will say, is very good now as well. 18 damage for a defensive unit. That's a lot. 18 damage for a defensive unit. It moves 48 and is flying. So a lot of movement, a lot of damage, a lot of defense. Look, he just has everything. 120, 8-3. And then he does a very good, he starts every combat with giving your units this really good emboldened allies. 2 strengthen, that's a lot of extra damage, and 3 allies, quite a bit of morale as well. You might almost start your entire army off with 20% crit chance, which you get if you're in positive morale, and then 20% more damage from the strengthened. Yeah. And then he has a few other things, giving himself grace if he's entering defense mode and so on. Remember, so this guy really appreciates being put into defense mode, but he doesn't automatically put himself in defense mode, so that's unfortunate. But we could be pairing him with guys like this, you know, chaplain, that are, you see the yellow text there, puts the unit into defense mode after use. So, Tome of Supremacy, I will admit this tome will be picked in a few builds that really appreciate the battle mage units and the support units. It has a few things that are decent, but no SPI, and it is a tier 4 tome, so I was quite harsh on it when I graded this. I only gave it a B tier. I mean, this city structure is good. Is it one of the better ones in tier 4? Maybe not. This unit is good, but let me know if I'm too harsh with the B rating there for it. Maybe that's a little bit harsh, but that's where I place it. Let's see, what have we not been talking about? We should talk about the Tome of Revenant. Yes, this one. I made another build guide. You can search for my channel for Dark Tyranny build guide. And in there I really felt like it could be good to go for the morale debuffing build. No morale for you kind of build. And for that build, this seems like an obvious choice, right? We have stuff only applying to undead. We have this building allowing all undead in our city to get this natural regeneration. That's very good, 10% of your max health each turn. And you do have a spell causing a little bit of morale around one of your units. Also, this unit has quite a big AoE attack here, the Ray of Corruption, big 4 hex, 3 long line, doing quite a bit of damage, 40 damage, causing quite a bit of weak and everything. So, but I mean, once again, if I compare this guy to the Shrine of Smiting, if you skipped ahead in this video and just went to this tome straight away, go back to when I talked about the Tome of Exaltation here. I think, oh, where is it? Here, sorry, Tome of Revenant. I think this unit is decent, but other tier 5 units I find stronger. And here is I really wish they would rework this a little bit, because a lot of things, if you're going for a morale debuffing build, a lot of things have Vicious Killer anyway. You might want to pick up the Bastion mount, especially considering the Tome of Subjugation is just a weak tome, so you don't want to get the aura from here. You really want the Bastion, I think. And the Bastion already gives all your units Vicious Killer. So, all in all, I'm not a great fan of the Necropolis. More souls, nothing else. Do you want skeletons this late in the game? Undead Titans though, maybe true. But all in all, the Vicious Killer already being received from the Bastion mount. The fact that most of what this does is really giving you the natural regeneration. The Fallen Angel is good, but not top tier unit for tier 5 units. And if we compare this to Tome of Prosperity, so what I ended up doing there in my morale debuffing build, I just picked this tome up instead. This gives us way more, even though it's not made for a morale debuffing build. I still gave my front line really good stats, really good healing, really good defense here. In a morale debuffing build, you really value just staying alive. Even though the Tome of Revenant had this natural regeneration, I find that Tome of Prosperity just gives me more survivability. So I give this actually a very low rating. I give it a C rating. And that's because it really is made for one type of build and one type of build only, undead, morale related builds. And even in that build I find other tomes to be better picks. So I was quite harsh there. Let's see, what tome have we not been talking about? Oh yeah, we only have the last tier 5 tome left to talk about. Thank you for sticking around to the end, guys. This tome I do rank very, very low. Sorry. It has nothing. It has no SPI. It only has spells. This spell is great. I guess you're doubling the potential of your hero. And 3 turns is almost the whole battle. I'll give it that. 3 turns is quite okay. The resurrect, yeah, true. But the fact that this only has spells, and this spell isn't even that amazing. If we compare this spell for a second to the tier 5 tome in the Materium tree, for example, here we're getting a really strong tier 5 unit with some extra advantages where he removes defense mode and retaliation attack, and we're getting a whole extra body. Yes, the other spell increased our damage by 100%, but here we're increasing our damage by quite a bit. We place a guy that does 33 damage in a 2 hex area straight away, but we're also placing a big 167-6 body on the board as well, and this guy lives forever. This is for the rest of battle, not just 3 turns. So looking back to the Tome of the God Emperor, I mostly value this one, and I think other spells in the game are stronger than this one. So I usually find it way better to just pick another tier 4 tome rather than to pick up the God Emperor tome. And so for that reason, if I don't ever find a reason to pick up a tome, now my face is in the way here. There we go. I'm sorry, but I give it a D tier rating there. Thanks guys for watching. Thanks for sticking out to the end, and sorry for placing so many up in the S tier, but that's just the way this game is for now. I think a lot of the Order Tomes are great pickups for certain builds. Compared to some other schools of Magic, the Order Tomes are a bit stacked right now. So that is my verdict. Have a really nice day, and thanks for all the feedback in the comments. I've been seeing some really nice comments. Thanks for that. See you around. Have a really nice day. Bye bye. Blah, blah, blah.